what a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Righteous Force, Flatzoid, Chocolate Sane, Arwin and 10th Man. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Now we have got some slight issues with Discord at the moment, so I'm going to hope that I can actually resolve those in the next few minutes, as I've literally just downloaded the application version rather than the desktop version, or the other way around, whichever it may be. In the meantime, over the last 6 or 7 shows, we've been covering the housekeeping questions individually. So I'm going to hopefully open this particular show with one that keeps the conversation going for quite a significant amount of time while I fiddle with Discord. So I'll ask the question first of all. I don't think we've got a Discord panel to ask it to, but there we go, such is life. I will hopefully get that sorted soon. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container? That's the housekeeping question first and foremost.
Seems such a conceptual question in the first place. It's like a thought experiment.
He's presupposing it.
Oh, there we go.
Not me.
Can you hear me in Discord?
Wait,
No, but there's a lot of examples of gas pressure.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you now.
Excellent. So, any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container is the housekeeping question that we're going to be covering today. Anybody in Discord got an answer before we move on and dissect it?
No.
Yeah, fight the flat earth, shoot the video.
Fill us in. Feel free.
Yeah, he showed gas pressure in a vacuum chamber.
Sorry, gas pressure without a container is what we're after.
Did you say vacuum chamber? I think that chamber falls under the category container as well. So
Yes, it would.
Anything else other than a demonstration of gas pressure in a container to answer the question of gas pressure without a container? Given that there's a fundamentalist religious zealot, a belief that we have a sky vacuum with no containment, keeping the gas here. Okay. Contently say that there isn't anybody with any demonstrations of gas pressure without a container, because it's a violation of a natural law. It's a necessary antecedent. You need a surface area to press on to have gas pressure in the first instance. Gas by its nature will disperse. Fill the available volume. The available volume.
Have you
of
seen
volume. Go on.
the pillars of life?
Have I seen the what, sorry?
The pillars of life.
The pillars of life. Fill me in.
Yes. It's a nebula.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen pictures of it.
Where is that nebula?
Hang on.
Something like the meaning of
you
life.
Everyone
always say,
stop interrupting him. He's got about 5 words out. Bloody hellfire. Go ahead, Highlander. I'll try and keep him off your back.
Nathan, you always say, we see it because it's there.
Yeah?
So we see it, so it's there.
Yeah? And?
Right. Well, if that's gas and space,
Oh, sorry, if that's gas. So what, you're going to presuppose it's gas and tell me that it's gas, that it's not dispersing into the vacuum that it's surrounding. So it started off as just a picture of something that we've given a name, pillars of life. Now, if it's a gas, what do you mean if it's a gas? If you presuppose it's gas, it's not dispersing into the gas vacuum. What? We don't need to presuppose that, though, do we? You've just presupposed that, haven't you, Highlander?
is that not what a nebula is made of?
How the fuck would I know? Have you been there?
What is a nebula?
Yeah.
What? How the hell do you know what it is? You've been there, have you?
Yeah.
No, you haven't. You've looked at a light in the sky and decided
In
it's
your
gas.
dreams?
Sorry, let's just get it clear. You or nobody else has been to the Pillars of Life. It's claimed by your religion to be a gas. That doesn't mean it is. That's just your fundamentalist religious belief about what that light in the sky is. Like all the other lights in the sky, you just decide a gas is. For no reason other than you've just decided it's going to be a gas. In a vacuum, not dispersing, violating natural law. You've decided that.
They're just lights then.
I don't know. Yeah, as far as I can tell, they're apparently just lights.
Right. So if you don't know what they are, how can you say it's not gas?
That's an argument from ignorance fallacy.
Or just like your black swan.
No. Sorry, what's this now? A false equivalence? Sorry, are you done? Pillars of life aren't made of gas. You've just decided that. And now you're asking me to defend your religious belief that this light in the sky is actually a gas not dispersing into a vacuum. So let's stick with that.
I did.
Let's stick with that. Why would you just decide that some light in the sky is something that's violating natural law, i.e. the second law of thermodynamics? Why would you just decide that and then ask me to defend your bloody religious belief in that light being a gas, not dispersing as per a law of nature? Why would you do that?
Highlander, this is another example of you presupposing something like we were talking about earlier. The other math you asked about what you're presupposing. It's another.
Yeah. He tried to sneak it in there quickly. He didn't even warn us.
Hey, Adam.
Afternoon, guys.
Adam.
Afternoon. So maybe you've got a bit of take on this, just to segue away. I think we've given Highlander enough punishment. We're talking about gas pressure without any container, Adam. Now, just want to hear your thoughts.
Well, fortunately, container is kind of the thing that defines your gas pressure, its surface area. It is the necessary antecedent for you to have. Pressure is something for it to bounce back at you to create the pressure. Where we were heading, or
But what about all the close-ups we get to see of those nebulas in Star Trek?
can't be happening in a vacuum, can it?
Oh.
Ask Highlander. He's been there.
Right.
This is what it's gotten to, that you guys will say you've been to nebulas and been in space. I mean, it's already, your arguments have already reached joke level. So,
I mean, there is the possibility, Chocolate, that whatever you're looking at has a completely different set of physics that is in no way comparable to anything that we register or measure on Earth. But then you're off to Narnia, aren't you? But if you're going to judge these phenomena with standards of what we know physics does in reality, then we have to apply a certain level of logic to say, no, that can't be a floating gas cloud in the middle of a vacuum, can it?
yeah, I agree. But especially when they can't come up with an experiment that would prove such a thing can happen here, where we all live in the first place. But then they just expect us to say, "Oh, well, can't happen here, but it's got to be able to happen there because that's what it is." Because I believe that's what it is. That's what it's doing. Fundamentalist belief.
I still don't understand why they haven't shifted at some point to just state like, no, yeah, it's all filled with gas. Why not? You know, they're already twisting so many readings and output in order to get things the way they are. Why didn't they just switch it to that? Yeah, they could still say, nah, it's just not lit up. Just don't see it or blah, whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was just so broken that at some point they just stopped attempting to fix it. Just thought, nah, we'll just leave the broken bits out for the religious fanatics to defend. I don't know. Just in my mind, I could conceptualize it in a less broken way, you know, or at least attempt it, but it's not been done. I don't understand.
It's a sad state of affairs, right? Because they've left them with basically the worst narrative in the world to have to defend.
Right.
And then they got people that want to help them defend it, and will do things like create a video, call it gas pressure without a container, and then have two containers in it. So that's fun. I mean,
Right.
I love to hear about the video that this guy made, Fight the Tight Shirt, as asserted by Highlander. That'd be cool. I'd like to hear some detail about it. 'Cause it was just a quick, oh, this guy made a video. Then what? He dropped off? What happened? Where'd you go, Highlander?
I'm still here. I lost my connection for a bit.
Damn, those damn satellites, man. Welcome back.
Yeah, your communication balloons don't float over the north of Scotland, unfortunately.
Yeah, those
Arwen,
damn
I think
satellites
the
don't
point-
like Scotland. Too many mountains. Oh, wait. Weren't satellites supposed to be above you?
Yeah, I think the whole point of this experiment is to see how much they can get away with. They can just put out as much nonsense as possible, and still people will just accept it. I bet people are sitting around the room like, let's see how far we can push this.
Hey, Adam.
Anybody else in Discord maybe know how we could have gas pressure without a container somehow?
I've only seen examples with containers, so I couldn't tell you.
What about the whole plasmoid thing? I remember ballers trying to forward that as a supposed claim. Gas pressure without a container. How about that? You guys completely abandoned that? Don't think that's good anymore? It's not, but that usually doesn't mean that ballers then stop using the argument, so hello?
Hey, I was thinking I was gonna say something when you guys were talking about the satellites, but I had my mic flipped up. And did you guys see Globebusters talk about how they're trying to bring internet in rural areas with high altitude balloons?
Yeah, Google Loon.
Googaloon! Googaloon! Good for them, man. Hey, functional is functional, so why not? Who needs freaking satellites,
Our beef isn't with satellites. Our beef is with space. If the satellites are claimed to be orbiting in space, then you've got a begging of the question fallacy of orbits, the presupposition that they're falling around a spherical Earth, and you've got a begging the question fallacy that violates natural law in the form of a sky vacuum for them to reside in. So, satellites, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm sure we can have balloons floating above us that maybe carry communications equipment. Great. Doesn't mean space
But
is real.
this was
Doesn't mean orbits are real.
but this was demonstrated by a company, and they were like showing a big presentation on it and how they were doing it and how they were achieving it. And so it wasn't like some secret thing that flat earthers are coming up with. It was a
Sure.
company actually showing it and explaining it in detail. So that was interesting.
Can't lie about space forever. Got to have an overlap period. If they're finding it useful to launch balloons as they were when they were claiming they were in space, presumably they're still just as useful, but they can't lie about them being in space anymore, so they just disclose the fact they're going up on balloons. They're still doing the exact same job.
Not
Yeah,
just in
they'll
space.
just say, they'll
Highlanders
claim it's
into
cheaper.
nebula.
It's cheaper to do it this way, and then say that some of them are still actually in space orbiting. We just don't know which ones.
Well, if it's cheaper to do it that way, then why do we even have satellites in orbits to begin with? If it's
No,
cheaper
that's
to
just
do it
what
with
they'll
balloons.
claim.
I'm sorry, I cut somebody off.
That's alright, I'm going to do a shout out anyway to my latest channel member, Doug Marshall, woo woo woo, who's joined as a penguin, so thank you very much for joining. I'm also going to do a whole shout out bunch of shout outs to all of the people who've joined as hyenas. So shout out to, it's a fairly long list, Ali B, Elijah Freeman, Light Energy, Clearly, Rakia Life, Grave Dodger, Silver Umbrella, Pilton Pop, Jordan for America, Chow Yun Cat, Unicorn Laser Rides, Del West Watson, and Super Looming Hyena. So those are all the people who are Hyena channel members. Thank you very much indeed to all of you. Adam, are you still around? No, he's not, clearly. As you were.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I am. I'm just pottering and trying not to make a noise when I'm doing so. So, yes, sir.
When you've got a chance in the next few days, there's no rush. For some reason in what's it called, OBS, I can't now get the list of participants in Discord to appear on screen. So I've just been fiddling and faffing, and I can't get to do it. Is that something you can help me with? Don't worry if it's not something you know.
Yeah, we need to download the app thing, don't we? Yeah, I'll have to have a word with Betty, but yeah, could be. You mean the overlay for the names and that?
What I was doing before was just having it as a window, and then in OBS I'd say go to that particular window and take this section of it, and that's how I do it. Whereas for the app, it doesn't seem to want to do it.
Okay. If you use the app, you have to program it in to just take it, and it just gives you the information, so you haven't got to steal a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a play later. Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, that's what the problem is. So I have to do it differently if it's the app version. Fine, that's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Annoying as well. I can't make it as small. Oh well. Hey ho, technical life.
Sweet. Yeah, sorry, I was just doing a reference for someone. So it's trying to be quiet so you don't hear my keyboard warrioring like Tony.
Fair enough. I could just slide it into the frame of the screen, but it just looks a bit of a mess, so I don't think I'll do that.
No, you got to make it look pretty.
Yeah, I'm fussy about these things.
I'm in the middle of. I was supposed to do it on Friday. Do the new. I've done a whole load of new OBS because now John's plumbing is fixed. He's officially. I'm getting rid of the plumbing page, which is all the copper piping. So I'm doing a nice magnetics one for Hammy and Zach. So that was supposed to go out Friday, but literally 10 minutes before I was went to air, my computer just blew. Just. So apparently got moisture on my motherboard.
Oh dear.
Being rebuilt now. A new motherboard coming. So yeah, hopefully I'll have new OBS sets up by Friday as well. So
Excellent. trimmed out yesterday's little back and forth with unorthodox.
Yeah, I thought you were starting at 3. I was just listening to that and then saw you were on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't be bothered to reset the time, so when there was all these technical issues with Discord and I couldn't get it to work, I just restart the computer, thinking, fine, I'll just end that recording and punt it out separately. But then when I restarted, it just didn't work, so Righteous suggested downloading the app version, which I did whilst launching the live show.
There's a few bits of... I'm a bit behind the times. I noticed John Ford did a Black Swan piece a day or 2 ago. I only spotted it yesterday, but nice of him to pick it up and run with it. I like his stuff. He's not someone I've ever chatted with. A couple of times interacted, but always watch his stuff. But yeah, not someone I've ever... I don't know, do you chat with John?
I like Taboo Conspiracy's version because he's like, no, it's not a black swan, it's an everyday swan. We see this all the time, and it's what's normal.
Yeah, tell that to the dude that posted the exact same oil platforms over and over again in my comment section saying, explain this! And yeah, typically what I'd have just done is put a little white swan underneath because it all makes nice logical sense. Doesn't even take 10 seconds to respond saying white swan. But we have our own side weakening our argument, so it's far more difficult to do that, given that our own side saying, no, it's an everyday occurrence that we have geometric impossibilities for horizons. Yeah, that's the reason why we argue with them about it being a sphere edge in the way of stuff, because it's just so common that we have geometric impossibilities. They're everyday occurrences, apparently, according to our own bloody side. It does depress me. Yesterday I was like, no, I want to see this from their point of view, I want to be neutral. Woke up this morning and got that, like I say, endless bloody repetitive comments from somebody posting a video that's showing the oil platforms with a horizon in front of them. And literally all that went through my head is, why is it my own side is saying that your geometric impossibility is an everyday occurrence, when you wouldn't even be calling it a white swan if we hadn't first labelled it black swan? You know, it'd be silly to label horizon swans. There's no logical reason to do so. And to argue that it's an everyday occurrence that you have globe debunking horizons is, to me, slightly absurd. At the time I was like, oh yeah, I'll believe you if you say that it's just an everyday occurrence that we see horizons way off further in the distance than they should be. But then, after sleeping about it, I thought, well, Ranty goes out day after day after day after day, and he's not catching daily occurrences of geometric impossibilities. He'll catch it on a nice clear day, if the tide's nice and calm. Well, yeah, because he can see further and there's less interference in the weather and it's nice and clear and, you know, all things being right, he can see much, much further. The clearer the day, the further you'll see. But not every day is a clear day. So not every day is an everyday occurrence that you get these geometric impossibilities. You can get them if you're persistent and you go out and you wait for a nice clear day, because the Earth is obviously and observably flat. You just need clear weather to see it. So yeah, I'll agree with that, but that's just the same as saying the black swans aren't that uncommon, as opposed to rearranging the logical consistency and saying, actually, these are white swans. These geometric impossibilities for horizons, they're like an everyday thing. Well, no, they're not. Why the hell would we be arguing this subject if they were an everyday occurrence? No one would ever take a picture of anything at the horizon and go, there you go, I can extrapolate ball from that. That would never happen, but it does. We've spent the last 3 years arguing with them about how it's a geometric edge obscuring a boat in the distance, or obscuring an oil platform, or obscuring a clock, or obscuring anything else for that matter. That's all we ever argue about, and they've got a calculator to argue with it about that very subject. Yet we take, or QE takes the time and effort to formulate a logical consistency, happens to involve swans, and point out that the status quo, the standard argument, with this picture on screen now, where's the bottom of the turbines? Behind the edge, isn't it? Behind the edge of my sphere. Yeah? That's what we get. Because they're just going to look at this picture and say that's the edge of my sphere blocking it. So when you offer up a debunking that absolutely obliterates that and shows that you've got a geometric impossibility for a horizon, that debunks the notion that all horizons are geometric in any way, shape or form. And they can't fit between being geometric and being non-geometric. It doesn't work like that. Once you show it's the not actual location we call the horizon, redundant, it's not actual by definition. It's apparent by definition. So, You don't no longer need to argue about this position on screen now being the physical edge of a sphere. It isn't. Debunk the notion of it being a geometric horizon. The fact that you can quite commonly extrapolate out this information. To be perfectly honest, that's not true for this information. There's an island in the distance that doesn't work in the curve calculator either. It's far too far beyond their presupposed Earth curve edge, the bit we've debunked with the black swan. So, to those of you on our side, without being too harsh, actually understand the argument and how it debunks the notion we have a geometric sphere edge before saying, oh no, seeing geometric debunking sphere edges in the form of non-possible horizons for a sphere is actually quite common. Why go to that effort to dilute the argument? It just makes no sense.
That's a fair point. I think I just I read it more as look, oil rig, no explanation needed.
Hold on, somebody's
This happens all the time. Why are we talking about it? Yeah.
Look, if I may for a second, I actually talked to Karen B. I also reported it on the Early Word show. They, or at least Karen, because I haven't spoken to anybody else about it, but she didn't really get the emphasis that we're laying. We're laying an emphasis on the concept of the black swan and the historical reference, and she didn't get that. She didn't fully see the complete context of it because, and here's why, she hasn't watched the debates or Ballbusters at all. She kind of avoided it because of the atmosphere. That's what she told me. So she literally just overlooked it. It's a misunderstanding.
That's the
I
feeling
don't know
I'm
about
getting.
the other guy. I don't know about the other guys.
I thought you'd make your point. You'd done your stopping again. Sorry. I started talking, but you're doing your. I've semi-stopped before, so I apologise for interrupting.
Go ahead, Adam. Did you have something you wanted to actually?
Yeah, I was just going to agree with Owen. That summary he's just given there is kind of the feeling I'm getting, Owen, that the comment we're getting is either lack of understanding of the nuances of what's being said with regards to the mode of tolerance, or arguing about the relevance of whether the black swan analogy fits this. Seems to be the bigger point, that these people are grasping the black swan, they're looking up on the interweb, seeing the analogy and seeing different descriptions of the analogy and arguing that against that, as opposed to, like you just said there, looking into the actual quality of what we got, which is what QE's crafted with all the other stuff, is to put it into a logical consistency of the mode's tolerance so that it's undebunkable via their model. It destroys their model. That's the power of this. And yes,
right,
you can take every single sodding picture, right, and apply it. That is the genius of it. But we're not saying this one picture is the only one, is the only black swan. We're saying, but the point is the modern's tolerance arguments, not to focus on drilling down into black swan analogies that you read elsewhere and trying to apply it to that. Look at the power of the argument that you've been given.
I'll try and break it down again. The white swan, black swan analogy is to say that most people think that the swan population is all white. And the analogy, most people think we have a horizon that is the demarcation point of the edge of a sphere. I'll say that again. First half. The assumption that all swans are white is the assumption that all horizons are geometric sphere edges. Now we know this because we've argued about it since we got here. Whether or not it bends, how much it bends, how much is stuff being obstructed by it. That's the globe head's default position, and most people think the Earth's a sphere. So most people think all swans are white. By analogy, all horizons are geometric. This horizon on screen has been extensively argued about how much the line that we call the horizon is obscuring the north end of the Isle of Man, because the baseline assumption for that argument was that this is a white swan, commoner garden, obstructing geometric horizon. That's the default position. All white swans, all geometric horizons. Now, as soon as you show one black swan and demonstrate in analogy, we don't have a geometric horizon. It's not the leading edge of a sphere. By limitation, it couldn't be any further than the mathematics and geometry layout. If you show one that's beyond that, the black swan, you automatically debunk the notion that we have a demarcation point for the leading edge of their geometric model. It's debunked. Now, that isn't to say that there aren't tens of thousands of images in people's possessions that also categorically show we do not have a geometric demarcation sphere edge for a horizon. But that doesn't mean that the commoner garden understanding is that the horizon's actually beyond a geometric position. The assumption is that it's geometric. Ergo, white swans are the standard position, geometric horizons. We have shown that they're not, with what could be, if it was rare, the exception to the rule, which would be the black swan. But in this instance, you've got geometric physicality being broken. Once it's broken, it doesn't suddenly go back together the following day when they show you a horizon in front of the platforms or a horizon in front of whatever else you've got to refer to as your black swan. They are still black swans until the day that everyone understands the Earth is flat. Until that day, they're black swans, I'm afraid. Reversing the analogy and taking away its logical consistency, presumably because you don't understand the actual analogy, and saying, well, it's really common we can see further than they claim on a sphere. The only reason you'd have to disclaim further than they disclaim on a sphere is because how far you can see on a sphere to the horizon is the standard, the white swan. Now, we've given it by analogy because if you just give modus tollens, the logical consistency, there's nothing to wrap your head around in analogy. It's surplus, it's not necessarily needed, it's redundant, you don't need a black swan analogy. But when you coin a phrase and give it a label, suddenly it appeals to a different part of people's brain. Oh, that's the black swan image. As opposed to the image of the two oil rigs with the horizon in a position that's geometrically impossible for a reification of a sphere model. The accurate description of the proof. But black swan's a lot more catchy, and it has an analogy that goes along it that's directly comparable to the modus tollens analogy, logical consistency. Now, for all of you just go, I don't see what the big deal is with this picture. Well, try and pay a bit more attention.
Right. I can perfectly explain how they've misinterpreted it, because it's like this.
What?
These people. No, but I'm with you. I'm absolutely. You were totally correct, Nathan. But the problem is, there's flat earthers out there that kind of already are so used to, as it were, looking at black swans that they forgot to realize that most people don't see that. See? So they kind of wrongly laid the emphasis on, like, what is so special about this black swan when there's black swans all over the place. So they overlook the actual point of QE bringing it forth as he does, and us all emphasize. They overlook the point that it's not aimed at flat earthers, really. It's aimed at the general public more, or the ballers.
Radio check.
It's aimed at debunking an assertion we have a geometric sphere for a world. That's what it's addressed at.
Right. But it's so natural for them to already know that, kind of, that they overlook the point of why we did it, as it were. And then they responded laying the emphasis on the wrong thing. And that's really what happened. That's the mistake that happened.
Wait a second. I just come in on this late. What happened again?
You get an echo.
Echo. Sorry.
We're just discussing the feedback that Orwin's managed to gather.
Yeah, I think that because taboo conspiracy is such on another level than most people, he's a little bit few hurdles past to where a lot of people are. He's making the whole black swan argument into an offensive move as opposed to a defensive move. If that makes any
Coming
sense.
into Nathan's channel.
I don't know about Taboo Conspiracy. I only talk to Karen B, so I can only talk for her.
How could
But when
you
you're
say
so
Karen-
used to
hang on,
seeing
hang
black
on.
swans, it becomes normal because that's what we're used to, but not what most people are used to.
Yeah, I agree. And when the world sees it the way we do, then yeah, 20 years from now, maybe we can start calling them white swans. But for now, half the people don't understand the analogy. Another third of the people don't understand the actual example and the analogy. So is it time to convolute down something that's not overly complicated, but you've got to offer it in a certain format with a certain amount of heritage information so that it's undebunkable? But there we go.
Radio check.
No, yeah.
You're good, John.
It's an icon. It's an icon that'll appeal more widely, like you said, Nathan, and that's just correct. Unfortunately, with it also becomes slight proneness to misunderstanding the icon in the first place. But that's what happens. That's
All right,
the
wait a second.
consequence
What,
of
can somebody tell me
exoterrorism.
what happened? Oh, geez. I'll come in on the hangout.
Okay.
Yeah, Nathan, we're getting echo coming from the first side.
Echo coming
Sorry,
from
I
what?
didn't hear anyone. Sorry.
Yeah, it's echoey on Discord side.
Okay, I'll figure that out at a later date.
John got in the Google panel here.
Sorry about that, guys.
I've got technical issues with Discord, that's all. Sorry, John.
Second. Radio
It's
check.
only when destructible.
We can hear you, John.
You're good.
Thanks, for fuck's sake, man. Oh. All right, what happened?
Nothing, we're just going over... I explained that yesterday I was trying to empathise with the people who turned black swan into commoner garden white swans. And I'm saying, well, yeah, I can understand you seeing this all the time, and, you know, that might be the case. But then I woke up this morning to a spam commenter charging me with explaining a white swan. You know, exactly the same platforms, but with a horizon in front of them. And on the first reply to the spam comment, I just put a white swan. And what immediately went through my mind is, oh, this was nice and simple and concise. I can just call it a white swan. Until someone comes along and says, your own side's calling the other thing a white swan. So what's this, a black swan now? I mean, what the fuck? You know, you're like, oh, this is annoying. And suddenly I felt a bit more empathy for you, QE, rather than trying to get to the bottom of, well, it's not that big a deal. They're just saying it's really common to see geometric possibilities for horizons. Now, number one, that's not the case. Number two, the entire Western world thinks they live on a bloody sphere, and the most standard status quo is to assert that the horizon we see is the geometric edge of a sphere. So there's nothing wrong with what you've asserted in terms of describing white swans as the claim to be geometric horizons and the black swan being the geometric impossibility. So to dilute and change it is actually quite frustrating. Now, yesterday the empathy was running for those of them who were saying, oh, well, I don't see what the big deal is. Well, the big deal is we've debunked the idea that we live on a sphere with geometry. That's a pretty big deal. Maybe pay a bit more attention to it rather than changing it for no reason. And the same applies to Ben. I mean, I'm a bit disappointed in him. It's like, why have you done this? Now, Arwen's justification is to say, well, he's so used to seeing these horizons that to him it's common. It's like, are we forgetting what argument we're in and that we're very much in the minority and that the majority of people still believe that the edge of their sphere is represented by this horizon you're now calling common as muck? When, even if I try and side with Ben, it's not common. The guy who went out and got this took a long time trying to achieve it. Same with Ranty, I know how long it takes to get these black swans. So it's not an everyday occurrence at all, that's nonsense. So there's, on many levels, I just think, what the hell are these people doing?
I know what they're doing. Ben doesn't understand the argument. I want to get back to what Arwen said. What was Karen's excuse again?
She literally didn't understand the historical reference because she hasn't watched any of the Ballbusters or Flat Earth debates. Because she stayed away. So I had to explain it to her on Skype. I presented it earlier, and then she got it.
Stop!
What?
Please. All I wanted to know. Okay, wait a second. Let me get this straight. She goes on 2 shows, 3, counting last night. I didn't watch it. I heard people talking about it in Master B's. Last night was a non-pissed off night, so I didn't go over there. So let me get this straight. She goes on 2 shows with countless people watching, a lot flat earthers, and she's discussing something she doesn't understand.
Yep.
So how does that not make her a pretender clown, please?
Well, it makes her look really silly because she
Does she
overlooked the
understand
entire
flat
premise. Yeah, but it's called a mistake.
Does she understand
Because
the flat earth?
she wasn't informed.
Shut up! Does she understand
Don't
the
tell
flat
me to shut up, John.
Tired of listening to you monologue.
Excuse me, you're having a conversation with me. Can I respond without you immediately interrupting every time?
Do you got diarrhea of the mouth? My word. Now, I'll ask the question again, please. So you're telling me her excuse is she goes on 3 shows discussing an argument that she doesn't understand. How does that not make her a Class A certified pretender clown? So please, I'm all ears.
It's called making a mistake. I've done it in the past. Remember the whole gravity time? Does that make me a pretender clown? No, it's up to Karen now to do with it whatever she wants. Either recognize like, oh yeah, I actually did overlook the real backdrop premise of the entire argument. Didn't see it, and that made me look kind of silly because she thought it was about the picture.
Can I have somebody else other than Arwen?
Oh, well, somebody else talked to her yesterday, so
Everyone
you're stuck
just
with me.
heard the story. I'm looking for somebody else to answer the question for me.
Got a super chat that might address it. So shout out to Flatulent Unicorn, who says Karen B thick #Black Swan. Also, is it Wits It Gets It? Says Globebuster here. 1,000,000% support of Black Swan. And then thank you very much for your super chat. Wits It Gets It, and also MC Universe Sacred Truth Seeker. I'm really sorry, you're the last one. I'll see if I can scroll to find your super chat. Just bear with me, guys, on the panel. Hopefully I can find his super chat to actually read it out. If not, it's too far up. I'm really sorry, MC Universe Sacred Truth Seeker. I can't read it. If someone else super chats, I will read it out, though. Thank you very much for your support. Oh, Emma UK, thank you. I'll read that one before it goes. She says, remember, you are all awesome. Thank you very much, Emma UK. Subscribe to her today. Click on those buttons. MC Universe Sacred Truth Keeper says, the problem is Black Swan sounds just like one. Anybody follow that? The problem is Black Swan sounds just like one?
Because swans are not pretty to listen to. They're squawky and annoying.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Oh,
the
God.
Swan attack video, remember?
I don't know if they're squawky and annoying. There's loads of swans in my local park, which I go to regularly with my kids. And they're very tranquil. Generally, unless you piss them off, they're very tranquil. And even if you do piss them off, they just chase after you. But they're not squawking and making annoying noises. They're really beautiful creatures. Anyway.
No, I agree. Yeah, they're just. I think that was the point of the super chat.
Okay, please. Anyone with an answer to my question, please.
Your question is, if she's gone on two shows...
it sounds... She should have known what she's talking about.
The question is, if she's gone on 2 shows, talked about the subject, but doesn't actually know what she's talking about, how is she not a pretender clown? Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, I can't not say she isn't, because you can't just take something like this very important proof and then just run with it, having not really got a firm grip on what it is. So...
Rushing to conclusions. On the same hand, Nathan, you just already explained that because of the icon of the swan, it is a little bit easy to misinterpret. It's still dumb, though. It's still sloppy.
Okay, hold on a second.
The problem is...
Sorry, hold on. So hold on, guys. Witsit Gets It. I think he is actually on Globebuster's show. He's one of the Globebusters from what I'm gleaming here. So he says, I'll bring it up on the next show to clear it up. I support the Black Swan analogy 1,000%. I think it's brilliant. Shout out to QE. And from his last super chat, I think Witsit Gets It is actually one of the Globebusters. Maybe someone in the chat can fill me in.
Well, if that's the same Witsit Gets It, I was just in 24/7 Discord before I came in here, and he was in there flat smacking with the Black Swan. So
Maybe
if
we can give
he
clarity.
is who
When he
he
said
is, if that's the same guy, then yeah, good shit, bro.
He said he's a Globebuster.
Yeah, he's a bust.
Is he really? I didn't know that.
And she didn't watch the show. Why?
Kish Wizzy says, yeah, brand new Globebuster. Bob recruited him. Yeah, definitely a Globebuster. Excellent. That made my day. I know Bob gets this, and this Witsit guy gets it. So they're going to be discussing it on Globebusters. This is a result. I've got goosebumps. Yay!
Bob definitely gets
mean,
it.
it's
I've
funny
spoken
because-
to Bob about it, Nathan, and he totally gets it. And we discussed it on Friday show with Cammy, and I know Bob was in the background and would do my face. I know the guys.
I realise that. Hold on one second, El Peculiar. Hold on. he's talked about it in the chat. I know Bob gets it. I mentioned it yesterday. So, this is just... Let's not be too harsh on Karen. She just didn't get it. And she's maybe been caught up in talking about it. Let's just give her the benefit of the doubt.
That's what I got.
The problem is, the problem is that she's just not up to date with the flat Earth debate.
Yeah, that's the real problem here. Karen's just not up to date with the flat Earth debate.
I would say that's most likely what the problem is.
Globers.
But she admitted. She admitted to me that she didn't watch it because she didn't like it. So, and that's
She's not up to date.
Really doesn't watch. So.
Am I not coming?
Sorry, yeah.
I hear you, Boriqua.
Go ahead.
What I was saying is that what the best part of the conversation of the Black Swan is that the Globers definitely are getting it because they're definitely backing down on their argument of the geometrical sphere.
Globers get it no end because they've spent the past 5 years pointing this edge out to us. They know how devastating it is. That's why we've had the waffle we've had.
Yeah, they know they're screwed. As Albuquerque has just pointed out, you're in a situation where they're having to deny geometry. Well, what does that mean? Their whole religion is about having geometry, and they're having to deny it. Do people not realise how important this is? We've literally got to the point where we're having our opponent having to say, nah, that's not a geometric edge. Boom! Welcome to Flat Earth, mate.
But it's the fact that they have to contradict every previous statement. The Rumpus is a great example. To defend this position now, they're having to just contradict everything they've stood by in the past. Every excuse they've given us, all the Isle of Man stuff, all of it's now being contradicted by them because apparently geometry doesn't exist anymore. The only way they can get around it.
With all this Black Swan talk, did anyone, or did you guys already talk about the flat Earth comment on the Super Bowl, or in the Super Bowl game?
What?
Yeah, there was for one of the commercials mentioned flat Earth.
Was it when there was like a medieval fat woman saying they used to think
yes.
flat?
Wow.
Yeah, what did people do before Alexa? They gossip about flat Earth is apparently what they did.
Well, no, I just see that as part of the ridicule.
Oh yeah, sure. Alexa's gonna fix it.
Right. And the witch without the pants.
Mind.
Exactly. It's part of the ridicule. Like they don't know.
All right, back to the topic. So, she said that she doesn't like it. Is that what I heard?
No, she doesn't like the atmosphere in the show, and she doesn't really like people that much. So, that causes not to listen.
Snowflake. So she's a snowflake too, right?
She's a woman.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. War is off. There is no more war because she just performed seppuku on her own self. Thank you very much.
Good. That's good.
Well, let's keep it real, right? We know that not everybody watches the show. People all have feelings and all this other shit. So it makes sense that somebody might not watch the show, might not understand the level that this argument has brought. You know, the entire thing too. So I mean, look,
Well,
and I know, being that I know Karen B, she's cool, and I respect her, and I think yeah, she probably has been busy, doing her thing and not really paying much mind, because it doesn't sound like something that she would just offhand just dismiss, just not recognize how it's being pushed right now and why it's so important.
well,
Wait. Hold the phone. Not everyone watches the show. What the hell? Not everyone has feelings. What the hell?
I know is a
What the hell? What the heck?
non-shouty version.
Oh my god!
Hold on,
That's the
Adam.
whole
They're
on
trying to yell at me right now.
Right,
Was
so
John
you're gonna have
Rumpus in me?
yeah.
Or did we start at the same? Sorry, I didn't see John. I'm having to look away from the screen because I'm on backup computer. So sorry, John. Yeah.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. I heard somebody. Oh my god!
I'm listening.
It's hard to talk in here because we got people monologuing, right? Did I hear that it hurt her feelings? I didn't catch all of that.
No, I didn't say that. I said not everybody watches the show. Some people might not like certain other people, and not everybody watches the show. So not everybody might not be up to speed on how important this is. That's all I'm saying. You know how
Which
I
is
feel
all the
about
more
this
reason
argument
you
and
gotta
what
stay
it's
up to
done.
date with the flat
So,
Earth debate.
yeah, well, not everybody does, right?
Well,
You
wait
can't
a
not. Yeah.
second, Chocolate. Okay, so you're telling me she didn't understand. She's not up to date with the flat Earth debate, but she goes on 2 shows and talks about something that she doesn't understand.
Yeah, see,
See,
that's
look, the first time when I heard the clip with Mark Sargent, he kind of just brought it up, and she kind of sounded like she didn't really know or didn't understand what was being said, or she didn't realize what observation.
She contradicted herself.
Let's finish.
Yeah,
Shut up, Arwen. You mean when
I'm
she
just
contradicted herself?
yeah, I'm just saying it sounded like she didn't really understand the exact observation that was being spoken about. Like it was kind of like, okay, yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm getting from what I heard. That's all I can go by, right? Is my experience. So that's what I heard. And then it was kind of the same thing the other day when Ben, did his little video. And yeah, again, I'm disappointed by it that they didn't understand, but I'm not going to hold that against her and say, oh, that she's bad because she didn't understand the argument. It's very possible what she said was right. She didn't pay attention. She doesn't know how important it is. That's just my opinion. Hey.
Okay.
But
Right.
isn't that
Okay, everyone. I'd like to hear QE unimpeded this time so he doesn't get annoyed at everybody. Clearly, Chocolate's talking to QE, he's gathering the situation. Now I'm sure he wants to respond. Go ahead, QE.
Prosecution rests.
Hooray! The war is
Hooray,
over.
draw bloody
The
line under
war is over.
Excellent.
yeah. I mean,
So,
if she's opening her mouth without in that conversation, getting
right.
that echo.
Shout out to Theo Megaworty, who says, black or white, don't kill the golden swan. Them eggs. Right on. Thank you for the super chat, Theo Megaworty.
By the way, that
Shout
was
out
a
AI.
Matrix 3 reference. Remember Attack of the Machines on Zion? John is a machine, right? So,
Whilst we're on that point, if I can maybe dip in now, there was it is in response to what Chocolate's saying and saying. With regards, Karen's a figurehead, and I think her admission is probably reflective of a lot of people's understanding, and I think that's an opportunity, as John's saying there, to say, right, okay, it's not how we're seeing it. Let's take it as an opportunity to get the message out further and better understood. But this would seem the logical next step to me, that we work on that. And if people are saying, "Oh, flat Earth debate's too shouty," then I said I did a piece on Iron Realm. I don't think I shouted once. Hopefully went through it in a calm manner. Nathan's mirrored it. It's out there, and I just say to people, and please have a good look at it and get your head around it. This is a really powerful tool for us flat earthers. Whether we look at pictures, and have done for years, and see them as they really are, we're not trying to convince ourselves here. We've got a fantastic tool to convince people that look at these pictures and have always seen a geometric edge, or always excused, or tried to put in that, and we've got an opportunity here, I think, to get a very powerful tool over to people. And the response we've gathered is they're not understanding it, and to me, let's put some effort in to help them understand it.
I think it's with at least Taboo Conspiracy, it's like he's playing chess while Globers are playing checkers. I mean, I get what he's saying. I think he understands it, but maybe he's just saying
No, he doesn't.
that, I don't know, he's taking the offensive. Maybe I should probably watch it again then.
No, he doesn't understand it.
I could only draw that conclusion. As much as I really like Ben and I don't want to badmouth him, same goes for Karen. It's something that you've got to check your own first. And if he understood it, he wouldn't be calling the black swan a commoner garden white swan, because understanding the analogy and the example, modus tollens, wouldn't allow him to do so. So I could only draw that conclusion also, QE. Sorry, Ben.
No, I hear you. It's fair, and it is annoying, I guess, because it's just helpful to just be all one-sided, or at least on the same.
On the flip side, no publicity is bad publicity. They're talking about it. Their misunderstanding is being addressed. Once they do understand it, I'm certain they're not going to be in any position to want to apologise for their misunderstanding. That's not a necessity. But what is a necessity is understanding it, and understanding how strong it is, and why it's strong, and how to defeat the bullshit rebuttals that you might have in regards to refraction, or talking about the platforms themselves, or when they actually concede, recognising that they're conceding when they say, the horizon's looming above the horizon. And you say, so not geometric then? Welcome to Flat Earth. Etc, etc. So understanding the argument and understanding what seems, if you're not familiar with the argument, like suddenly they've got a defence, the horizon's looming above the horizon. Well, it's a non sequitur fallacy. You can't loom the horizon above the horizon. But if you want to run with it, you can take it as the victory point. So it's not geometric then. Not your geometric sphere edge then. We win. You lose.
It's the Coriolis effect, where they're arguing for something that doesn't help their point.
Well, maybe that's the whole thing, right? Maybe you don't notice how important it is until you argue with a globe defender about it and get them to try to explain it, and then watch in real time as they have to finagle their entire argument to try to make something seem substantial to give you an answer when they know they can't. So it's very possible that if unless you've argued it efficiently, you just don't get it.
So to read out this last Theo Megawerty super chat, the black swan the black swan argument only requires the evidence of one black swan. What then shows is that there are black swans everywhere, but named it wrong. Yeah, exactly, Theo. So he's just confused. His phraseology should be, black swans are really common. Now, if he'd have said it in that phraseology, I'd say, yeah, he absolutely understands the argument. And yeah, obviously they're common. We live on a flat plane. So you're going to see lots of examples of geometric impossibilities for horizons. They might be really common. It might be 50-50, black and white for all I know. But that doesn't make the common conception that all swans are white, all horizons are geometric, to suddenly need reversing in the analogy. It just demonstrates a lack of understanding of the actual modus tollens argument. But there we go, that's life. With that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 stream, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making this live show possible. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!